Welcome to another daily live webcast called Jenn Cast, a live show that happens Monday through Friday here on YFElive.com at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We are in a thematic Thursday day, so, oh my gosh, I almost said so excited because I say that way too often in this, but it's thematic Thursday and we're talking about business books, which is one of my favorite things, and so I'm going over 12 business books, all available on Audible, that I feel like every young female entrepreneur should have. Today, I'm your host. I am totally solo, Jennifer Donogh. You can tweet me at Jennifer Donogh. Of course, use the hashtag Jenn Cast to communicate during this live program. And like I said, it is a thematic Thursday. Every Thursday, we pick a different theme, and usually someone will come on and teach us something. Basically, that's what it really is all about. And today, rather than having a guest on, a lot of people have been emailing me, asking me about the books behind me when I'm on the live show and what book they should get. And even somebody on Instagram asked me the other day what female books are on our shelves. And I had to answer him, honestly, about a quarter of them are female authors. The rest of them are male. And I didn't even really think about how many women I'm being influenced by as far as what books I'm reading. But these are the books that I like. To be totally honest with you, I'm not just, I am trying to seek out women every once in a while as far as authors go, because it's always refreshing to hear a female perspective. But at the same time, the 12 books that I'm talking about, are just books that I honestly like. They're books that have really affected me as a business owner, as a mother, as just a woman in general, and I feel like they're going to do the same for you. So it is thematic Thursday, like I said. Thank you so much for showing up live. We're talking about 12 books you can read over and over again, because that's one of my favorite things about books. You know, it's one thing to get a book and have it give you like the latest on social media and what to be doing, but it's not going to be relevant in like 2 months, right? Everything's going to change, and you have this book, and I'm all about zero waste in 2014, and I don't like even just the smallest amount of space in a bookshelf. If I'm not going to read it again, I don't want it to be there. So I love all the books behind me and on the bookshelf and would recommend any of them. But these 12 specifically are books that I have on Audible and I listen to whenever it's quiet around. If my son's gone, or if I'm on a walk at the gym, or I just need some inspiration, these are the go-to books. So let's go ahead and get into the 12 books and talk about why it is that I feel like everyone should have on it. First of all, I want to make sure that I mention all of these 12 books are on Audible, and the reason why YFE, we've partnered with Audible in that we promote it using, if you sign up on audibletrial.com/Ovaleye, Young Female Entrepreneurs does get a kickback, and it's been a great way to fund the production. Our production is a little expensive. It costs money to do the broadcasting each week, and it costs money to host the videos and everything like that. So it's so nice. I'm always really grateful whenever you guys sign up for Audible using our link, and definitely tell me about it because I want to make sure that I thank you. But so this one, I really like. The reason why I like Audible is, one, obviously on the screen you can see that movement equals memory. I'm a huge believer in the idea that if you're putting, they talk about this in one of the books we're going to talk about, but if you put thoughts with action, so if you're at the gym working out, or if you're cleaning and you're still, in that same headspace, you're still thinking about it, I feel like there is so much I just remember things better, I guess. So like when I read, I read A Place of Yes, which is one of the books on here. I remember pushing Kelly, my son, when he was a little boy, he was like 9 months old maybe, in the stroller. I'd walk him every morning, and it was sunny outside, and I was kind of having a mommy meltdown period. And I remember what it felt like, it was warm outside while I was listening to this book, and it helped me remember some of the lessons in the book better. So I really do think movement really does help as far as memory goes when you're listening to a book, to absorb it. Audible's convenient. That's an obvious one, right? We don't all have the time to be able to sit down and read a book. And I feel like some books are better in paperback, the ones that you can take notes in, that type of a thing. And then finally, there's an emotional connection. Usually the author will read the book and they'll add in some additional stories, or you'll be able to hear their voice in the way that they read it. And it adds that extra element where you're just like, okay, I really do get it. Gary Vaynerchuk is someone that's great at doing this, adding in additional stories, because usually they'll record the book after it's come out. And so they're able to add in those things that they might have missed. So I definitely, check out Audible. It's audible.com/Ovaleye or audibletrial.com/Ovaleye. If you want to support young female entrepreneurs and you like what we're doing, I would be very, very grateful. So let's go ahead and get into the 12 books. The first book is Think and Grow Rich. I've talked about this book a million times on this show, a million times, because it is my go-to book. I have it in every single freaking format. I'm not even kidding. So the way that we got introduced to this, because our whole team at Ovaleye, everyone that's ever worked for us has read this book. And the way that it got into our lives was through Allie Brown. She gave it away for free at one of her events. When you signed up, she mailed it to you. And we all read it, and it was amazing. It was just like, this makes so much sense when you look at other people that are successful and you look at yourself and maybe what's holding you back. Think and Grow Rich I have in if you get the purple workbook format, get that one if you're going to get it in an actual book. And then also it's on Audible, and it's kind of dry when you listen to Audible, so I recommend reading it first and doing the workbook and then having the Audible piece to go back to and listen to again. So Think and Grow Rich is my first one that I highly recommend. The second one is The Secret. I'm always embarrassed for some reason when I talk about The Secret, but again, this is another book that I have in every format. I have it in the movie, I have it in the book, and I have it in Audible, and the Audible version is my absolute favorite. You hear everyone's voices, and it's one that I listen to all the time. I just pick it up when I'm in the car, I'll turn it on. If I'm at the gym and I just need a little boost, it's just a nice, they talk about shift in your mind. This is definitely something that really helps me shift quickly. And on Audible, it's by Rhonda Byrne. Is that how you say her last name? She was on Oprah and everything. But it's still one of those books that I really rely on. The third book is Unlabeled, and this is by Mark Ecko, and it is one of my favorite books. So those two books, the past ones, are really inspiration and things to work on yourself with. Unlabeled, if I'm going to read a business book like this, I love it when it's a story. Unlabeled is a story. It feels like a movie. I was excited every time to go to the gym. I would go to the gym to listen to this book. Mark Ecko doesn't read it, but the author kind of embodies the urban feel of Mark Ecko if you've ever heard him speak. And he does a great job in the book as far as keeping you enthralled in it, because I didn't really know anything about the Ecko brand. I mean, I knew of it because I was a teenager at that time when it was out, when it was really, really popular. It still is popular, but and so I didn't know how it ended, though. I know the Rhino brand and everything. I didn't know what actually happened to his company. And so it tells you the ups and downs. It tells you the behind the scenes, how it got started. And it really talks about, especially if you're a creative entrepreneur, you're going to want to read this one. And this is, again, a book that I would read over and over again. There's so much to learn from it. The fourth one is A Place of Yes. Now, this is a book that I definitely highly, highly recommend, especially for young female entrepreneurs, especially if you're going through life transitions. It's by Bethany Frankel, and regardless of what you think of Bethany's life as far as, Real Housewives, divorces, blah, 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 none of that matters. This book, it has 10 rules or 10 pillars. And every one of them kind of checks back to Think and Grow Rich and those type of fundamental bottom line type of a thing. And I love it. This is another book that I listen to all the time. Whenever you need just a little boost, and again, it tells stories. You get to hear about the behind the scenes with Martha Stewart. It's just such a phenomenal book. And if you're a mom, especially, and you're having these moments of stress, which I feel like all of us do, it's always a nice check-in. And yes, Megan, it's one of the all-time favorites, right? You just want to listen to it all the time. So highly recommend that book. Again, it's on Audible, and she reads it too, which is so much fun to hear her voice in there. It's just something about, again, that emotional connection with the author. The fifth one is The 48 Laws of Power. If you're following along with the daily action calendar, YFE does have a Bootstrap book club. It's a book club with over 600 people in a Facebook group. It's private. You have to request to join, and I just check you out to make sure you're a real person, and I'll accept you. But if you're following along with the daily action calendar, you'll see that there's prompts for this book. It's because this is our next book for Bootstrap Book Club. I didn't put it out for a vote or anything like that. I just wanted something different. I don't want to read about marketing for a little while. I don't want to read about any of that stuff. the 48 Laws of Power, I was reminded about it because of House of Cards is coming out on Netflix, which that is the only show that is kind of like a bad for you show that I watch. And I'm a political science, or I was a political science major, and a lot of this brings me back to, you know, the Machiavellian, like the philosophy behind how communities grow, how people go into power, and the work that I did in college in politics. It's just so true. And the book, oh gosh, it's going to be an interesting discussion because when you listen to it, especially, it is like, it's very Machiavellian. It's very kind of like evil sounding, but at the same time, it can be used for good. And I think that knowing what these 48 Laws of Power, it's all enriched in history, is really important as female entrepreneurs, because I sometimes just go on the idea that everyone needs to collaborate, everyone is happy, just be open and transparent. But I've had things come back at me where young female entrepreneurs will talk to me and they won't disclose everything, where I'm disclosing everything. And then the next day I see that they're doing something that was a little bit like, I'm not blaming them. It's just me. I noticed that they had the power in the conversation. So really important book. It's on Audible. Again, it's just something completely different than what most of us are reading. So that's number 5. Number 6 is A Pumpkin Plan. I almost didn't put this one in because it is kind of like the marketing go-to kind of a thing. But at the same time, when we get absorbed by or distracted by the shiny, you know, top level stuff, it's good to get that reality check of the bottom of that. This is how you make a successful business. So I definitely recommend The Pumpkin Plan. It's one, again, that I've gone back and read because I feel like it's very dense. There's a lot of information, but at the same time, it's relatable. There's stories. It's easy to soak in. So I put that one in over the Personal MBA just because I feel like it was a little bit easier to keep going and listen to. And we've had Mike Michalowicz on YFE Chat Live in the past, and he was a great guy. He's really, really nice. So the 7th one is The Lean Startup, and this is a book that is kind of more of the tech-driven type piece where they talk about beta, they talk about getting ideas out there, that type of a thing. And I feel like this is relevant for any business, whether you are in tech or if you are in just yourself and you're doing maybe VA stuff, whatever it is, read this book because it's all about getting your ideas out there, starting something, testing it, seeing if people even want to buy it, and then putting money into it. A lot of us will throw money into a gorgeous website and then realize that nobody wants what we have to sell. So it's a great reminder to try things out. It's, again, a book that I would read over and over again. The Audible version is fantastic. I love the stories that they talk about. They talk about how that short sale company got started and a few other ones like the Living Social Opposite. What's those guys? Anyway. Great stories, great book. Number 8 is Start With Why. We're almost up to 12 books. Again, a book that I've listened to probably 5 times on Audible. Simon Sinek, he reads it, and it's a great reminder. It's one simple concept, the idea of start with why. He goes over golden circles and a few other things, but it's easy to digest, and it's a good thing to remember when you get stuck on the how and the what's of your business. It's like, forget about that. Go back to the why, and it's just a good reminder for business owners. Number 9 is, I have to remember, Anything You Want. Okay, this is a book I bet a lot of you haven't read because I didn't even want to read this at first. But we read books at Ovaleye. I have 2 business partners, and they're my parents. And my parents, I grew up in music. So they started a brick and mortar Main Street music store, and we sold CDs, and people would play in the bands, and then they got wind of this idea that you could start selling music online, and then they did music downloads, and they were one of the first stores that did that. So we were all my brother and I were enriched in this type of experience that they brought us up in, and Derek Sivers plays a huge part in that because he had one of the stores that allowed bands to be able to sell their music online, which wasn't really available at the time. You had to be on a big label. So he was really the start of the whole music revolution. His book is awesome. He talks about like the legal jumbo. He's like, forget about it. Your bottom line is to make money. He talks about some of the mistakes he's made. He's since sold his company. And it's just, again, it goes back to the Unlabeled book. It's a fun story. And you don't really know how it ends because not a lot of people know about who Derek Sivers is. So number 10 is Tribes. Out of all the Seth Godin books, this is the book that we all need to read. He talks about being a leader, being in front of your community as business owners. We're all media companies, like Gary Vaynerchuk said now. We're all out there spreading our message, and the personal brand is so much more relevant today with Twitter and social media and Instagram and everything that you're definitely going to want to read Tribes, because it's also a book that you can listen to and it'll make sense versus his Icarus book, The Icarus Deception, another great book, but it irritated me a little bit because if you're listening to it, it breaks, like you have to read it in the book format because it goes from subject to subject with no real like understandable flow for me, and Tribes is a great one. So I would definitely check out that one. And then of course, number 11, we've got, gosh, I don't remember what 11 was, Delivering Happiness. Again, I almost didn't put this one on, but it's kind of like the Start With Why, a simple concept. We're not selling live webcasting. We're selling an experience, a feeling. It's kind of like the desire map trend that's happening right now, right? This idea that feelings are so much more important than goals or that type of a thing. Everyone wants to feel something, and that's the beginning of the motivation. So Tony Hsieh reminds us all to come back to that feeling space. And then finally, number 12 is one of my favorite books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's one of those Think and Grow Rich, like old school, old books that's so applicable today with social media. Everyone else that's talking about how to use Instagram, how to use Facebook, that type of a thing, it's all built on the foundation of this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's written by Dale Carnegie, and the audio version, again, is a little dry. I mean, reading this book in general, any book that was written that long ago is a little dry, but at the same time, it's easy to get through. It goes through like a list of points, and so you can follow along easily. So I just wanted to thank everyone for showing up live and for participating in the live show today. This has been Jennifer Donogh. I'm your host of the daily live webcast called Jenn Cast. If you're watching live, I'll check in just a second. Make sure that you sign up for Young Female Entrepreneurs at yfe.me/mailed it. Join us. It's free, and it just keeps you in the loop of everything that's going on with Young Female Entrepreneurs. We have city meetups, we have the book club, we have the daily action calendar, we have Jenn Cast live webcasts that's daily, and then we also have YFE Chat Live, which happens Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Tonight's guest is awesome. Her name is Alex Beaton. She started out as an amateur photographer and took her business into incredible heights, and she's now teaching other people how to create a killer impression. That's what she's going to be talking to us tonight about, so make sure that you grab a cocktail and join us. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope to see you back here tomorrow. We have the author of Wall Street Journal's Small Business Guide on, and she's also the editor at The Story Exchange, so you guys are definitely going to want to show up for that one. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks again. Have a great day.